Ruby Smith of Baton Rouge is a grandmother who has lived her whole life with insufficient funds to support both herself and her children. Ruby Smith is in poverty and just wants to see the cycle broken for her grandchildren. Almost one-fifth of Louisiana is in poverty, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, and as Louisiana residents, we need to try to eliminate poverty in our state completely to ensure a better future for Louisiana. Poverty does not just affect the people who are below the poverty level. It is a large cause of Louisiana's high crime rate, so reducing poverty would also reduce crime, making Louisiana a safer place to live for you, your family, and your friends. Poverty is a serious issue that we need to abolish as soon as possible. To get rid of poverty for good, we need to improve the public education system, help mothers in poverty to raise their children, and raise the income limit for public health insurance and child care subsidies. The first thing I'm going to talk about is how improving our education systems will decrease the amount of poverty in Louisiana. People who are in poverty do not choose that lifestyle for themselves. Many people are in poverty because of a cycle of poor education and low-paying jobs that has continued for generations in their family. Children in poverty are often not given a good enough education to get into college or get a high-paying job. They also are not being taught how to get out of poverty. Ruby Smith tells The Advocate, "In school, no one ever talked about credit or budgeting." She said nobody emphasized birth control or family planning either. All public school systems should be sure to effectively teach students about finances and family planning. Now that we have talked about improving our education system, let's talk about helping mothers in poverty. Since children who are raised in poverty often grow up to live their whole lives in poverty, it is important that we help the mothers who cannot get themselves out of poverty to raise their children in a way where they can break the cycle. As reported by The Advocate, the Nurse-Family Partnership teaches mothers to care for themselves and their babies properly and to set work and educational goals. The Child Poverty Prevention Council has suggested expanding this partnership to more mothers. I completely agree with this because to end poverty, we will first have to start with raising the children to get out of poverty so they can set the example for future generations. Now that we have talked about helping mothers in poverty raise their children properly, let's talk about raising the income limit for public health insurance and child care subsidies. Basically, when someone is unemployed and in poverty, they qualify for funds from the government to help them survive. Once someone in poverty becomes employed, they might no longer qualify for this government money, but if their job is low paying, they might not earn enough money to pay for themselves and their family on their own. This is essentially an incentive for some people to stay unemployed because they get more money unemployed than they would if they were working. This is why the government should raise the income limit for public health insurance and child care subsidies. The people in poverty have to want to get out of poverty before anyone else can make a difference. To effectively get rid of poverty for good in Louisiana, it's crucial that we improve the education system, help mothers in poverty, and provide funds for the employed who are still in need. 80% of the state's population is not in poverty, and many of these people find it unreasonable that they should have to pay taxes to help people who are. Gwen Hamilton, who headed the Department of Social Services, has addressed this issue, saying, "The more we communicate, the more we realize that poverty doesn't affect just those that live in poverty. It affects the quality of lives of all. We're all accountable and we're all responsible for the health and well-being of our state. We as citizens are responsible for helping our fellow citizens who cannot help themselves." And what can you do to help? You can write letters to Bobby Jindal and our government. You can donate to programs such as the Nurse-Family Partnership. To help poverty victims right now, you can donate food, clothes, money, or your time to places such as St. Vincent de Paul. As a Louisiana resident, you should do whatever you are able to do to help improve our state so Ruby Smith's grandchildren and everyone else can live to see a Louisiana where poverty does not exist.